Most of the people completely misunderstand what actually business analyst does in investment banking. They say that in order to become a business analyst, you need to have a deep quantitative finance degree or maybe coding skills because of they think that bank will expect them to code 24/7, or maybe this is just another banking role. In today's video, I'm going to explain the business analysis roles in investment banking, what they do and what they don't. And if you're new here, I'm business analyst. I'm working in investment banking and I'm also MBA and CQL qualified. The biggest misunderstanding is that people think that business analyst is finance expert. They imagine someone who making trading decision, have a deep understanding of all the financial instruments that are trading in investment banking on a daily basis. But important here to mention that business analyst actually it's not a salesperson, it's not a trader, or it's even not a quant or software engineer. So the business analyst exists because of technology and business team, they don't talk the same language. By business, I would mean here, for example, a business analyst would work in the market technology environment in the bank. So business here would represent risk managers, desk, quants, maybe product control team or finance. And by technology, I would refer to the engineering team that are building solutions to satisfy the business needs. Investment bank, I can say, it runs through technology, especially today, because of every trade, risk calculation, every reports or maybe regular submission, it goes through the multiple systems. Trader, for example, they will focus on the markets, risk management team, they will focus on the exposure to make sure that the bank are in the right exposure of the risk management. And then, of course, engineer team, they will focus on coding. So the role of the business analyst here, it will be the bridging gap between all of those teams and to be, I would say, mediator, right, in any type of negotiation, agreeing, deliveries. So if there is no business analyst, what will happen? First, of course, the requirements will be misunderstood. If there is no clear requirements, it means that solution or system that are being built, they are incorrect. Then this is further will lead to the errors to the production, and of course lost in money. That's why I can say that role of business analyst is very critical, even it's not always visible. Let's talk about the real work with the business analyst. So in typical days, they will talk to the business user stakeholders. They will ask the right and structured question in order to understand what actually the pain of my stakeholders, what they are trying to achieve and what is the objectives. Then we work on the clear documentation, the requirements, approving back what we have understood, what needs to be achieved back with the users. Then based on that business requirements, the business analyst, we are creating functional requirements. Functional requirements, I would say it's more like technical requirements, which are much easier, or I would say they are written in the language that our engineering team can read and start working on designing or building the solution for that needs or that problem that business users initially raise. And then of course, business analysts, they will work in planning the UAT testing, they will writing test cases, different test scenarios, and of course they will be supporting the production releases, and even depends on the scale of the project, they will be looking on the hypercare of the production release and tracking all the KPIs to making sure that there is stability post the release time. For example, trader has been reached out to the business analyst complaining about the wrong numbers in the risk exposure generated in system. So for the business analyst, what is important here is to going back to the trader and to understand some of the critical questions and get the answer. For example, when did it started happening? What product? Which system? Also look into the, I would say, in the recent deliveries that were part of that system changes. What might have been changed for the last days, right? Depends when traders started to see that issue. I would say these investigation skills very often you will find as the heart of the BA work. Another misunderstanding is that business analysts must code daily basis, but you don't. What I need to highlight here maybe that nowadays it's definitely important for the business analyst, but also on, I would say, the first on the which department you might be required to have a knowledge how SQL it's work, because of currently I would say a lot of data that being generated basically in the bank, it's stored in different databases. So as the business analyst, you need to perform and do the analysis. So very often you will need to derive data from those databases, mainly using SQL. So this is the things that you can learn and to have a knowledge how to use SQLs. Because of, as I mentioned, you will be required running some analysis, but also happens sometimes if there is any production issue. So instead of waiting engineers to be available and to check the issue, you can run and derive any data from different databases, right? If you know how to query. And another, I would say, it's very good to have a Python skills, in particular that you can do some analysis if it requires some automation, for example. But again, this is not coding environment, or I would say BA job, it's not 24/7 coding. It's not something that you will require to code from 9 to 5 or 9 to 7, depends what your office hours. What I've seen that a lot of business analysts, they work in technology, change or maybe transformation teams, and also middle office. Yes, you will be supporting a front office, for example, who are the traders, but you are not part of the sales or trading teams. And the advantages here, of course, will be that you will have, as I can see from my perspectives, it will be much better work and life balance. So I think that this role can be good for the career switchers. It might be misunderstanding, but I think it's not a bad point. I have seen a lot of successful business analysts. They didn't study finance as their primary subject back in university. They come from the IT engineering and they learn a capital markets on the job. And I am one of them. For example, yes, I obtained my quantitative finance certificate, but already I would say almost 3 years after I've been a business analyst in investment banking. So of course the most of the capital market knowledge I learned on the job and of course in my own time. And then I decided to pursue quantitative finance certificate in order to have much deeper understanding of the pricing, machine learning, Python skills. But in order to get to the investment banking, yes, I had some certificate of business analysis, I have been doing trading, but one of the most, I would say, successful criteria when banks hire business analysts, they are looking for someone who can learn fast, communicate clearly, and also thinking logically. So stop believing myths that in order to become a business analyst, you need to have CFA, you need to be handful experienced engineer, or needing years of the experience in the banking. So yes, most of the people, they misunderstand the business analyst work and role in investment banking. But if you understand this correctly, then you already have one big advantage. And if you enjoyed this video, you might also subscribe to this one. And thank you very much for watching me, and see you in the next video.